Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
Why did I do this? Why did I put myself through this movie again? Why did I choose to remember it? It's not something that's really supposed to be remembered, really. If you look at it a certain way. I mean, all film should be remembered. Sadly. That is my stance. I think all history should be remembered. And this is history, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you all about it. Now, Amazing Spider-Man 1, it was a little more than okay. I mean, I you know, the first 15 minutes of that movie, I was like, oh dang, this actually means something. This actually has a lot going for it.
On its own merits, it's a great movie. It's a lot better than the other. Asminar, my buddy, said like, man, this is a lot better than the other three Spider-Mans even combined.
Well, I don't think Spider-Man should be based on these movies at all. I love, for one, off the bat, I like Andrew Garfield. I like him. He's fine. He's all right. But even in this though, like, there's nothing this movie could have done to salvage it. Like, this is a complete and utter, I don't know. With Mark Webb, I haven't actually seen any of his other movies. He did 2 movies in 2017, Gifted and The Only Living Boy in New York. I've never even heard of those until I just now looked them up. I did like 500 Days of Summer. Really good movie. We actually watched it in film class and it was just for fun. We didn't even do any essays or analysis or anything of it. It was just like my teacher's like favorite movie. She's like, this is the best movie ever. Amazing Spider-Man 1, I haven't even seen really again. I've seen it a few times. I saw it with Trav and I saw it with my uncle and it was whatever. I mean, those are 2 legitimately pretty good movies. Not really excellent, but it's just like when you look at something like this doesn't even feel like it even had direction. This was to signal the, Amazing Spider-Man 3, Sinister Six movie and this whole big franchise they were building and come on, man, this is the opposite way to make them. Everything you should have done, everything you did needed to be done the opposite way. Like, I remember the trailers to this movie, especially this one trailer when it came out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna blow Amazing Spider-Man 1 out of the water. And that's a really hard thing to do for me. Like, that was really difficult. And I'm sorry to admit, I also felt that way for Batman vs. Superman. That's a garbage movie. It's garbage, but this is worse. Like, this is worse than that. And I mean, and BVS is really bad. So take an amazing trailer that got me so hyped for this, and it's so hard to get me hyped for a movie. It's so hard. Somehow I got really hyped over this. And you go from that to me wanting to walk out of the theater less than halfway through this. And I probably should have. And it may be the worst movie I've ever seen in theaters. Maybe. I struggle to think, because usually movies that I've seen in theaters are really good. Like, I've actually picked really good movies. Me and Trav, it's always me and Trav that go like opening night to the movies and everything, and it is what it is. Movies are usually good that I see in theaters. It just so happens. I want to get this out of the way. For one, this case is really bad. Like, I don't even know. And then this back is like really bad with Electro there, and epic, gripping, spectacularly entertaining. Okay. His greatest battle begins, y'all. His greatest battle. The greatest battle Spider-Man has ever been through. And that probably wasn't even in focus. Without any further ado, let's dive in. Peter Parker's dad, Richard Parker, is in a lab. investigating, studying spooky spiders, yada yada. He records a video message.
Time.
Dad?
And Peter interrupts him. Of course, the video is going to come up later. Obviously, it's going to come up later. I mean, I wish nothing came up later. I wish this ended right now, but I'm being really hard on this really early, so I'm going to have to hold back the reins.
Be good.
They go on a flight shortly after. Richard explains to his wife that after he uploads this video, they can't be in Peter's life anymore. They can't raise a kid with the information they have. It's too secret and kind of shady and everything. And of course, they get attacked on the plane. They get attacked and everything, and the video is actually uploaded. Richard shoots out the window and they crash. This fight, guys, is so shaky cam. Can barely tell what's going on. I can tell what's going on, I guess, but it's just as much as you can tell with shaky cam, man. Come on, man. It's like 2014 and you're doing this really bad shaky cam. Like, that's out of the question. Why? Who made this decision? Iron Man already came out. Dark Knight already came out. And it's like, it was already old by like Batman Begins. Like, oh, stop. And even freaking John Wick is already out. Guys. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Like, this like shot of like the suit and everything like coming out. Okay. That may be the best part of this movie. It's pretty good filmmaking. Compared to what we just saw, that was just... I've already forgot really what's happened already. Like, jeez. And I won't lie, like this whole like opening, swinging, like everything, like this is really, really, really good stuff. Like ever since, you know, like Spider-Man 2 and all that, and even stuff after it kind of rivals, like it's a really good swinging, saving the city. And it reminds me like of the games, like, you know, Spider-Man 2 and 3, those games, and like the new Spider-Man, like that's kind of the whole concept. It's really, really well done. So maybe the movie is starting out better than I remember. I usually don't care about like the suits, like Spider-Man's like suits and superhero suits. I care because, you know, I want the suit to look cool. You know, I don't mind like looking really cool, but that's more like Trav's thing. Trav is more about design and suits and different stuff like that, and I'm less about it, but I can get behind this suit being really good. Gwen, played by Emma Stone, calls up Peter and she's like, "You aren't crime fighting, right?" Oh, wait, I should do like some. "Yeah, Peter, you're not crime fighting, right?" "Nah, yeah, you are." All right. It's a good balancing of like, you know, the two roles that Peter is supposed to play, which this movie, Also, you got Paul Giamatti, one of my favorite actors, hamming it up as Rhino. I can see how this could be a complaint. He's kind of a little bit too over the top. Ugh. But whatever. It's fun. We're introduced to Electro, played by Jamie Foxx.
Just Spider-Man.
I really like Jamie Foxx, but not in this movie. We're immediately conveyed that he basically has a crush on Spider-Man. A little crush and a little crush. Know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Gwen gives a speech at the graduation. Like, Peter and all them are supposed to be graduating, I guess, from high school or whatever. And of course, you got Andrew Garfield saving the day. But of course, at the cost of him being a little late. A little late, but he's still on time, so he's like, yeah, he's cool with it. And of course, we got my man, the late, the great Stan the Man Lee.
I think I know that guy.
Gwen invites Peter to dinner.
You coming to dim sum?
A little earlier, Peter saw Gwen's dad in a little mini vision, flashbacky type of thing, whatever you want to call it. And then he kind of sees him again at the graduation.
You're gonna make enemies. People will get hurt. So I want you to promise me something, okay? Leave Gwen out of it.
Also, Dennis Leary, my man. I love Dennis Leary and everything. My man. I'm like praising the actors more than this dadgum movie. Not even like the actors in the movie, just actors how I prefer to remember them not being in this movie. Peter remembers he needs to keep his vow and end the relationship with Gwen. Yeah, I'd hate to be that guy. Peter sees Gwen at the restaurant and remembers the promise that he gave her dad to stay away in the relationship, whatever.
I break up with you.
Moving right along, we got more great Spider-Man stuff. Spider-Man being a hero, Andrew Garfield being the man. Reminded me of the games. I'm having a good time. But he's apparently coming down with a cold.
Hey, you're that spider guy.
By the bed.
Huh?
Yada yada, some great comedy for the trailer.
I'm very naked right now.
What happened to your face? It's filthy.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I was cleaning the chimney.
We have no chimney.
May, played by Sally Field. Fantastic actress. And I will say, in addition to Peter and Gwen's, like the remnants of the good chemistry they had from Amazing Spider-Man 1, that's kind of here, kind of. The chemistry here with Sally Field and Peter, it's undeniable. Of course, it's sandwiched in between garbage, but it's pretty good. But at least with these certain scenes where he's playing off May and playing off Gwen somewhat, the acting is there. It's a solid story, and it tells the story of Spider-Man really well in these subsections of the movie. The dynamic, that's one thing with the Spider-Man movie. The dynamic between May and Gwen, it's just got to be there. The banter, the comedy, the drama. I mean, if it's done really well, that's just part of a Spider-Man movie. But that's the problem with this movie. It has parts like a Jenga tower, but it's also like all loppy and lopsided, and everything's like taken out and whatever, man. Like that's just how it is watching this. It's just a big, fat, hateful, ugly mess. Like, we're not really to like the hateful nature and ugly nature of this movie just yet, but man, we're gonna get there. And in his room, he discovers a bag like full of his dad's stuff, and it triggers some memories. Moving on to grayer pastures, of course, we got Electro back in his house, fanboying, fan crushing, whatever you want to call it, over my man Andrew Garfield. That sounds really wrong, but it's how it is.
Spidey, how was your morning? Aces, Max. Aces.
Electro goes to Oscorp, and there he meets Gwen. Maybe that's gonna go somewhere. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. This movie has 5 million subplots, none of which I like. Enter Harry Osborn, a very angsty character. Dare I say it? Emo. Like, did it remind you of anybody? I'd almost rather be watching Spider-Man 3. He goes to see his dad, Norman Osborn. Norman explains that the Osborns have a curse, some sort of spooky disease.
Retroviral hyperplasia. I never told you that it's genetic.
And gives him his life's work. And he hopes him to succeed where he failed. Yuck. This whole section right here is indicative of this whole movie right here, because it seems like a placeholder, something that would later hold the Jenga in place. This movie was rushed and no one gave a crap. I mean, the only person that probably gave a crap was Sally Field. Let's be honest. And no one else cared. And everybody else, maybe they were hamming it up to have fun, like Paul Giamatti, I guess, was hamming it up. And he was like, yeah, let's have a good time with this trash script, boy. Peter wants to go see Harry after hearing that Norman has died. Meanwhile, Electro is told to stay after hours to work on some nonsense.
There's a current flow problem in the genomics lab. Why don't you stay and take a look at that?
Jamie Foxx becomes Electro through some electric eels. Ooh. Maybe that was in the comics. Maybe some of this is following the comics. And like they were wanting to be super faithful to the comics. Maybe, whatever. I don't know. Oh, he could be called Kinda like Spider-Man. No. Harry is put in control of Oscorp. Is this a disastrous move?
You mean people are pissed off because he tried to turn everyone in New York City into giant lizards?
Wait a second. Jen Urso
I rebel.
is in this. Get out while you still can. Peter goes to see Harry.
What's up? Saw the news, man. I heard about your dad, and I wanted to come and see you, check it, see how you're doing.
You know, they start hitting it off, you know, because that's what friends do.
A friend is a friend to the end of the end. That's forever and a day. Stay by your side, don't hear me say goodbye. Come with me, 'cause that's what friends do. That's what friends do. 'Cause that's what friends do.
Now we're in a spooky mad scientist lab, guys. It's so spooky. And now we see Jamie Foxx. Yeah, I'm gonna troll. I'm just gonna call him Jamie Foxx now. Has electro type power, like force powers, alright? Like the freaking Emperor or some bull crap. Cool, right? It's not. It's not cool. Nothing about this movie is cool, by the way. It's dismal. It's hateful. Everything you don't want a cool Spider-Man movie to be. Peter meets up with Gwen again. And of course, you know, I'm in it for the Gwen and May part. Because that's actually a good movie somewhere buried in this placeholdery Jenga mess that's about to fall apart.
Have you been following me? I knew it. How often?
Just once a day.
No, dude. That's scary.
Stop it. Get some help.
Now we go back to Jamie Foxx. Why? Like, just cut him out of the rest of this movie, by the way. Like, I'm just done. I'm sorry, Jamie Foxx. I loved you. I love you in literally everything. Except this. And of course we learn that in addition to Electro's like force powers or whatever, controlling or whatever we have, like he can summon electricity, like he starts sucking up all the electricity in Times Square and resorts to all-out mayhem on anybody who tries to touch him. Everybody in this dang movie is so angsty and so cool, man. Oh, aren't they so freaking cool? They're freaking not. Like, he realizes, like, all eyes are on him. And this is the first, in theaters, I realized what a freaking bizarre movie we had on our hands. Like, even before this, I was like, what the heck? Look at them. I'll actually freeze frame so you can analyze how good these effects are, guys. Aren't they just so good? How much did this cost to make? How much? This ain't even in my notes. Hold on. How much did this cost to make? I'll look it up. What? There's no straight answer? You're not kidding here. What does the budget on this say? 200, which 200 million, that's a lot. 200 to 293 million. Let me just round it up and just say, okay, this was a $300 million movie. Which, that's awful, guys. That's awful. I'm really sad. Those millions of dollars went into... Do not see this. Then, this Jenga tower of a movie has the gall to have this derpy music, like it's tone deaf. This movie has no tone. I don't want to sound like I'm just reading off like a list, like a Wikipedia thing for this. That's literally how the movie is. I guess that's where the budget went. They were like, no. The budget went on them going to Olive Garden afterwards. That's what it was. I think that's what the budget went to. Because, and then this horrendous Hans Zimmer score kicks in, which I have to be reminded, oh yeah, Hans Zimmer did this music, and it's this horrible, like, And Hans Zimmer, I can't abide. I can't abide because you're one of my favorite composers. If not, I don't want to say my favorite because you got John Williams, you got Thomas Newman, you got all these amazing guys, Harry Gregson Williams, that put their heart and soul into a score, and then you have this that was written on a napkin at Olive Garden. And I can't abide. I can't. It's just not something I'm gonna do. I don't plan to abide. But this movie, like I said, it's tone deaf. It cannot capture a vibe. Everything about this movie, guys, is just inept. Down to the soundtrack. Usually the soundtrack at the least is at least solid, and I wouldn't have to be talking about it. But no, not this movie. No. I know that this does have a particular genre. That's another thing with Vampire's Kiss. I could not, and I still can't nail down a genre. I don't know what genre it's supposed to be. I have no idea. This is a very loose, like, oh, okay, superhero action movie. I'll give it that. But it's not capturing it. Spider Guy tries to calm him down. Yes, I'm going to call him Spider Guy just to troll.
You have my eyes and ears. What's your name again?
How could you forget me?
Oh, I do. I know it. Don't tell me.
It's Max.
Is it Max?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you with the... You look different.
But he alerts him and it spooks these sniper guys. Only, of course, making things worse. Everything in this movie, by the way... And yeah, maybe you could argue, okay, yeah, it's a superhero movie, maybe it's made for kids. Literally almost everything about this placeholder Jenga tower mess that's about to fall over, if not already fell over, is treating the audience like little babies. And that's just what it is. That's what it's doing. It's having a laugh. It's just having a laugh. And it's just not what I want a film to be. What I want a film to be, guys, I want to feel like I know what I'm watching. Like, I want to feel like, man, these are great characters, man. Like, and it's just none of it is happening for me. And at least have a tone. At least have a genre that's just, oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to quit, guys. I'm gonna have to quit. You know what? I'm just gonna keep this rolling. I'm gonna get a drink. I'm gonna really have to calm down because I'm about to freaking blow a gasket. This water is better than this movie. Jamie Foxx sucks out all the power in Times Square. And one thing I gotta say, in addition to everything I've already said, I feel no emotion. I feel nothing from this scene. I don't feel excited. I don't feel, oh my gosh, sad. Like, I feel nothing from this movie in general, but especially just this scene and gosh, man, because you're not establishing a tone. You're not establishing Jack. Like, I don't give a dang about Electro. Like, I don't care, man. We know that he's like, oh, a fan of Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man's like, oh my gosh, don't. Oh. Here's the thing. I don't get bored easily. I'm not a guy that gets bored at movies very easily. I swear. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is like 3.5 hours long. and for one, this movie standing at, I think, 2 hours and 15 minutes. I mean, it's too long. And like, this is less than an hour in, and I cannot take it. I can't take it. And I'm going to continue. So, of course, Spider Guy saves the day and all this.
England? Really?
Give me reasons to believe that you would do the same for me.
Harry discovers something about the device after pricking his neck with it. By the way, that's just messing with that too much. You are bored. Probably more bored than me. really weird thing to do, and he is a weird person, I guess, but okay. He deduces that he can use Spider-Guy's blood to save him, because of course he has this disease, and it's a curse, and all this, and I really don't like that subplot at all.
I need to find him. I need his blood.
Harry meets Gwen at Oscorp, and he just acts just a little bit too creepy. We learn that Jamie Foxx is being kept in Ravencroft Institute and held by a mad scientist type guy.
All of this, because you're trying to help me.
You are correct.
And of course, Jamie Foxx reveals his master plan, yada yada. I freaking hate that cliche a whole lot, but it's just something that has to happen in superhero movies at this point in time in the story.
A world without Spider-Man. And everyone will be able to see me for who I truly am.
This sucks. This feels like a shish kebab of scenes. I mean, there's only so many ways I can explain that feeling. I mean, that's the last way. I may go back to the Jenga. I think I like that comparison quite a bit. Of course, we got some more great chemistry from Garfield and Sally. Love it.
There's something you're not telling me, Aunt May.
Spider-Guy comes to Harry's office and explains, "You can't have my blood, dude."
I'm sorry.
All throughout this movie, I may or may not have mentioned it. I don't think I mentioned it. Gwen is trying to go to England, and that's just one of the hundreds of subplots throughout this dang thing that I probably won't even get to all the subplots. I really don't care. Yikes. Harry learns that Spider-Guy's venom is in the Oscorp building.
Go home, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
And gets fired for allegedly covering up Jamie Foxx's death.
In light of your deceptive criminal actions, you've been, how do I put this gently, fired. You're going to die a horrible death.
Man, this script is so bad. Peter deciphers from his father's work that something must be on track 6. Codename Roosevelt points to it. He's really doing his research by really Googling. He finds his dad's lab. Actually, I will give credit to this scene from all the things I've really tried to give credit to. It's like it actually feels like it was a little bit of thought put into it, but it also feels a little bit National Treasure-y, which I actually don't have a problem with. Is it lazy writing and stuff? Yeah. Harry breaks in to Ravencroft Institute to strike a deal with Jamie Foxx, knowing that he'll attract Spider-Guy.
You want to be my friend?
I thought we were already friends.
No. So apparently Gwen got into Oxford. Yay? Yeah, so Harry breaks into Oscorp.
Oh my, how the tables have turned.
When is this gonna be over? I really, at this point, I mean, I'm beyond not caring. Like, these villains are trash. Like, absolute garbage. Like, I want them dead in the sense that they'll be out of the movie. Harry convinces Mencken, the new president of Oscorp, to give him the venom locked away in Norman's, like, Oscorp-y lab. And predictably becomes Hobgoblin. That old story. Whatever, I have no problem with Hobgoblin or Green Goblin or whatever being in this movie. But if you were a much cooler character, I would be down with it. Like, for example, you got, well, don't use Spider-Man 3. But use Spider-Man 1. You got Willem Dafoe as the greatest Green Goblin you could have ever got. Ever. And nah. Now this is a classic Spider-Man moment. I gotta give credit where it's due. I love this.
I'm following you now. I'm just gonna follow you everywhere.
No. Too far. Anyway, the Blue Man Group cuts power to New York.
We're gonna get this back up.
How am I gonna stop him? Every time I get close to him, he fries my web shooters.
Okay, have you tried grounding
Yeah,
them?
no, I tried everything. Rubber, plastic.
Did you try magnetizing them?
I didn't.
try magnetizing them.
Gwen, it's too dangerous.
I'm coming with you. I've seen the grid specs and I know how to reset the entire system.
Gwen.
I'm coming with you. You know that you need me.
You're coming with me. Shut the thing. Sorry, I love you. Don't hate me.
That's a great moment. I'm gonna be real with y'all. All of this last section with like Electro and Hobgoblin and this whole thing, this is so boring. It's just a CG fest that is worthless and ugly, and I can't help but be reminded of Batman versus Superman, like just because like that whole last of that movie was just this huge CG fest that was so boring and so ugly. But at the very least, that had Wonder Woman in it that was at least like a good character along with it. Nothing could have saved this. I'm sorry. This whole last part of this movie has literally nothing to keep you engaged, keep you excited, keep you rooting for anybody. It's just a complete mess that's just so bad. Like, I can't put it into words. It shows us Dennis Leary again because apparently the audience is for, and we needed to be reminded yet again of him, or maybe that's him fulfilling a contract, like, okay, I've got to show up here, 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 all right, I'm done. Gonna go and be in Ice Age 6. Literally just noise. So of course, like the big, cool guy he is, Spider Guy saves the day, and what the
You don't give people hope. You take it away.
No, Harry.
I'm gonna take away yours.
No! This goes above and beyond bad writing at this point. Next level rubbish. If I had like my thesaurus or like this abomination takes Gwen up above some tower. Gwen foolishly tries to help Spider Guy in all this madness because she can release or reset the grip. No lie, this whole shot is actually pretty great. Just of course, it's a tragedy, not what happens, but it's a tragedy that this is in this movie. Yeah. And of course, it's based on this shot, like in a comic and everything. It's pretty good, pretty good. I do like that. Credit where credit's due. Okay, but here's the unredeeming part of this. This comes after 2 whole hours of garbage. Yes, I said some stuff was good here and there. Yes, but overall, this is like 0.4 out of 10, guys, when you really come down to it. And of course, I cannot help but feel all this tragedy and whatever, and it just wasn't earned because there wasn't a tone, there wasn't a vibe that was ever captured throughout this whole thing. Like, this shouldn't have been made. And so, therefore, with this big moment like this, me, as an audience member, I feel no emotion from this whole part whatsoever. None. Like, no. Of course, at the end, there's some sappy stuff. It's like super sappy. And like, that just goes along with this tone. It's like super action-y and super creepy and super sappy and super drama-y. And of course, to follow that up, we got this whole other scene building up like the Sinister Six, and it's gonna be this big bull crap, like, stop. Sequel bait the movie, basically. This is all this was. And of course, there ain't gonna be no sequel.
And everybody know the story of David and Goliath, but this is bigger than triumph. This is for the warrior, this is for you.
Kendrick, why? Yuck. Here's something I asked myself, and this goes for, this could go for a game, this could go for a movie, this could go for a song, like just some kind of song, I don't know. Would this have been impressive 10 years ago? Would this movie being made, would it have been great and cool and good 10 years ago? Maybe, but I'm gonna tell you guys, I mean, no matter when this was made, I mean, this just ain't good. I mean, I think even 10 years ago, I think the effects would have been way better. Seriously, like, just nothing about this movie other than a few choice scenes, a few scenes that I actually genuinely kind of showed like, oh man, that's kind of jarring, that's kind of good. Other than those scenes, which still overall don't really give this movie much of rewatch value. I mean, this is not something to watch ever again for any reason, but it's just one of these things where I felt nothing toward anything in this movie. Like, this is something people should just forget. I mean, I know that the whole point at the beginning is like, okay, remember history, remember this, remember that. Remember to forget this. On Rotten Tomatoes, and what's weird is I think this is like the same score as freaking Vampire's Kiss in a weird way. It has a 52%. You could round it, I guess, to 50%. That pretty much sums it up. I mean, you can't ignore that it's a solid cast, but everything else you can ignore. The performances are okay at best. I mean, like Sally Field gave it her all. That's easily my favorite part of this movie. Just a Jenga tower of a movie that by just before the first hour crumbles and falls and just it's on the floor and you're like, I ain't picking this up. Really nothing good about this movie lasts for a very long time, like 3 minutes at most if it's something good, and then you gotta wait through 45 more minutes of trash, and then you get to another 3 minutes of something that's like kind of good. Honestly, I'm glad that Spider-Man bounced back. Like in Civil War, when Tom Holland showed up as Spider-Man, I was like, oh my god.
Hey everyone.
What? That immediately got the bad taste of this right out of my mouth. Really. And then some rewatching of the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, really. Spider-Man 1 is pretty good. I really like 2 a whole lot. And then 3 is whatever. I'd really prefer 3 over this. Any old day. 3's not the best. And to me, it's not the worst, ever. I mean, it's not really something that, but this is the worst. Worst superhero movie ever? Maybe. You got...
Let's kick some ice.
Don't think Batman or Robin really is that bad. Necessarily. I mean, it ain't good. I know that. It's not like I really have a fan hatred of this movie. It's just a inept movie. Some old garbage that needs to be thrown away. And I really want to destroy this DVD. I have a lot of hatred for this movie. During my Vampire's Kiss review, I said something along these lines like, I think what this movie accomplishes is that feeling you have when you have a really, really, really bad day, but you can't properly explain it to anyone. Hold on.
Whew. Man, sequels though. Sequels to this, I can't wait.